Hey, 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 everybody. Live from Denver. It is Friday night. Let's make sure, yep, all is well here. And yeah, we are live. Yay! All right. So, where is this here? I saw this wonderful comment before the show started. An oasis of critical thought in a desert of hypocrisy. It is the Friday night Critic's Delight. Thank you, Hey Hun Pods, for that wonderful tagline. Happy to see everybody in the comments here as we are starting our show. As you can see, I am flying solo this week. Mel, kind of a little last minute, so yeah, but she's not feeling so well tonight, and today was just not such a great day. So we are doing this with just little old me tonight with you guys. Now, I want to, of course, let you know the call-in lines are open. This is open mic night. And that means I expect you guys calling in because I did not come prepared with something to fill out the hour with or anything like that. Of course, you know I will rattle on at a mad rate about just about anything these days. Christina, hey, welcome back. Glad to see you here. And of course, all the other usual suspects here in the comment section. Good deal there. So anyway, like I said, call in lines 984-214-4154 if you want to call in and have a conversation. And of course, I'm happy to discuss anything, especially coercively controlling or culty or things like that. You know, definitely into that kind of stuff. This has been quite a week. Oh yeah, sure. I'll figure out a quote for you guys. I did not bring one, and I am so deficient. I did not actually even bring one with me, but I always know where to go for awesome quotes, and I've already pulled up a couple right here from my favorite guy. Oh God, I'd love to give that whole little monologue. Yeah, there we go. That's a great one. All right, so I will come back with that in a little bit. But and great, I see a call in the queue already. So just letting everybody know, this has been a very interesting week because it's been a sort of catch up on things kind of week for me. So it was one of those weeks of like, you know, well, I get this done and I get this done and this done, and really happy to be getting, you know, check marking off all the things that I've had on my to-do list for quite some time, and you'll see some of these in the Q&A show this week. New little intro, because I'm sort of phasing out the critical thinker at large thing, and the last place that exists on my channel is in the intro, little video snippet that goes at the beginning of all my Q&A shows every week. So I want to get that gone, so trying to finish that off this week before tomorrow. And the little flash answers thing you guys see on my Q&A shows, you know, where I, you know, do the little flash, well, that's kind of making a comeback, and I redid that graphic for that, and, you know, little stuff like that. You've seen my channel looks different. The thumbnails look a little different. I've got a new kind of look and feel to things, and that's all by design. I've been waiting a long time for that. In fact, I was waiting for my degree to be finalized before I really pulled the trigger on all that stuff. Because I can't really, you know, identify as Chris Shelton, MSc, and be all fancy without the MSc officially done. So once that got certified and done, then I was pulling the trigger on that. And you'll soon see, I believe it is Monday, this coming up Monday, that coming by certified mail is my actual degree. So I'll be throwing that up on the wall back here behind me. You guys can let me know in the comments. I'm honestly curious. Should I put it over here and replace the Iron Man picture, or should I put it over here and replace the A.A. Milne quote? It's going to go on one side or the other, but I am not sure which side to put it on. So, but this is the backdrop for all of my shows. And when I appear on other people's shows and stuff, this is what people see behind me. So you guys let me know what you think about that. Thank you, Christina. Yes, it was. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. You guys have shown me so much love and support for all of the Work I have been doing. Okay, this is interesting. We have an anonymous caller calling in, independent. So we're just going to pick it up here. Hello, you are on.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hello, it is our friend from across the
Yeah. My
pond.
my current microphone doesn't always register me anymore. I think this is the perfect week to have an open mic night because I don't know if you're reading Tony Ortega still,
Uh-huh.
but this woman who's been implicated in a load of ransomware coding is an independent Scientologist
Yes, I saw
affiliated
that
with
story.
Ron's.org in Switzerland.
Yep, saw that story. That
So when I
was
talk a little
crazy.
bit about independent science, yeah, I'd talk a little bit about independent Scientology then, and maybe particularly Ron's org, because I remember Ron's org were doing a media blitz on the internet a couple of years ago, actually, where they were on the Scientology communities talking about themselves and providing links to their own materials, which I thought was quite unusual for Scientology. I don't know what you think of that.
Hmm. Tell me more about that. I got a little distracted there. I'm sorry. I was
So
pulling
what?
up the story on Tony's
Okay,
blog
so
of
what?
Ala Witt here, this woman
Oh yeah,
who was the nice Scientologist who was caught writing code for ransomware scammers was the story.
yep, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
So what happened about, would it be 2 years, maybe not as long as that, on the Scientology and cult subreddits and some other communities, there was members of Ron's org were advertising themselves essentially as an alternative to David Miscavige's Scientology, and there
Yep.
was a couple of independent Scientology YouTubers were advertising themselves as well and making content about their time in Scientology. I thought it
Yep.
was quite strange that they were almost on some kind of media or recruitment blitz at the time.
Yeah, that did not surprise me at all, of course, because here's what I can contribute to this part of the conversation at least is now that we have clarity on what's been going on in Scientology for the last few years, with all these latest leaks
Mm.
and interviews and everything, we have seen, and I don't remember if it was you or somebody else asked me, I think it was somebody else asked me, whether we would be seeing an increase in independent Scientologists as a result of this increased exit out of the Church of Scientology
Mm.
official. And I said, yes, we absolutely
Yeah,
would,
yeah,
because that's how the percentages run, is some people are going to go independent on their way out. And so, of course,
yeah.
sensing this, maybe even noticing it themselves, I'm sure some independent Scientologists went, well, hell, we got more customers kind of coming around. In the same way, I've had more people
Mm.
inside contacting me and giving me information and talking to me
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. So I think from that, strictly from what we've been hearing and knowing about, I think that is sort of a supply and demand market kind of thing happening, if I put it in that paradigm,
Mm. Possibly,
Yeah, I mean, it is possible.
possibly,
It's
because
just
like
a
if you
guess,
look at the time,
you know.
yeah, if you look at the time when this started, and certainly from your interviews with The Insider, if you compare the timelines of when the two happened, they don't match up exactly, but I think it's more than just a coincidence.
Yes, I do too. And it makes, like I said, it makes sense. And I'm going to go out, on well, I don't know. I mean, in the distant past, I have not done this recently and I wouldn't do it now, but in the past, I have even suggested to people who are, looking at exiting, fence sitting, not sure what to do about it. Well, you could always come out via the indie route, you know?
Yeah,
Because it is a
yeah,
kinder, gentler version of Scientology most of the time. This ransomware thing was quite
mm.
illuminating, right? This story about this was like, oh yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
of course there's nonsense and goofiness and silly ideas amongst the indie crowd about morality and what's right and what's wrong. You get that Scientology headspace mixed up in the
Especially
real
since
world.
they haven't had any new material for 40 years.
Exactly.
They have to they have to square their reluctance to invent their own new material with the fact that there isn't any material coming out. But what the other question I wanted to ask was back, it must have been late 2020 whenever Ron Zorg was on this media blitz. They posted a link themselves to their own suppressive person declare against Xenu. How do they square that with still believing Hubbard's juncture not to tell it to people who aren't ready to hear it or else they will die?
Well, a lot of them have come to realize that line was total horseshit. And they still believe in body thetans and the concept of spiritual exorcism through the OT materials, but they think Ron was either exaggerating for effect or got it wrong or somehow, they're not quite as in tune with every aspect of Ron's, bullshit. And that's the whole point of being an independent Scientologist is you get to cherry pick whatever you want. And that's what they do. Every single one of them. I'm sorry?
Oh, of course. But I'll just circle back briefly to what you said about recommending people get out through the indie route. I think if you don't portray it to the person in question as getting out, you might succeed more, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that sincerely believe a lot of what's going on but cannot stand what David Miscavige has done with the Ideal Org program, with the forced vaccinations, with the endless Decon 7, which is extremely physically harmful to people, but they still believe, well, how can they square those two together? Independent Scientology is the way to do it. Now, you and I both know that the most common eventual result of independent Scientology is leaving Scientology, but if you keep that under wraps, you might guide more people into what is eventually a way out.
Yep. I would say that is that is true.
Yeah. Well, that's more or less all I wanted to say. I just thought it was very interesting that that we had our open mic night on the very same time. There's more of a spotlight on independent Scientology. Just wondered if you have any other comments on that.
I do. There's one other thing I'll say about that, because the timing, as you mentioned there, 2020. Let's take a look at the other thing that was happening in 2020. Right? Everybody's home. People are out of a job, right? Maybe this is an income source for some of these folks. That might be another.
On that, I'll mention, because on Ron Zorg's website at the time, I actually went on to it. One of the things they said was that they portrayed auditing as a viable long-term career.
There you go. And that whole thing is right out of the culture of how Scientology used to be. That's old school Scientology thinking that actually kind of is lifted right out of that culture. When I got in Scientology, that's how it was. Being an auditor and training to become an auditor in Scientology was not something you were only going to use in the bubble world of Scientology. The idea was they were marketing it as something you would you'd use your training in life, but also that being a field auditor, a Scientology auditor out in the field, not working for a Scientology org, you could either charge nothing for your services or at least as much as the local org was charging, or more. You could charge more. So a field auditor was empowered back in the day to be able to charge $5,000 for an intensive if he wanted to. And the local orgs back in those days were charging $4,000 for an intensive. With the IAS discount, it came down to $3,200. That's what Santa Barbara rates were for the time I was there, back up until 1995 or something. I think the rates have gone up a little bit since then on intensives. But a field auditor could actually have a career doing this if he had any marketing skills to bring people in, right? Because he was gonna end up being a one-man operation. But not only did they have one-man operations, they actually had a couple. It was only a few of them, but there were viable field groups that had 4 or 5 Scientology highly trained auditors, most of them ex-Sea Org or ex-staff, by the way. And they would get together and get somebody who could bring people in, and they would have a field group, and they actually would make money doing that.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I thought I'd go into a tear on that because I wondered if you knew, and I'm sure my audience, we don't talk about that much, but that was something that was actually a way to make money in Scientology. And there were a few people who made quite a bit of money as field auditors until they kind of shut that whole thing down. Miscavige basically killed all of that in 1996, and it's never recovered since.
Was this related to the mission holders purge, or was that separate to that?
No, that was later. Earlier. The mission holders purge was in the early 1980s, and the golden age of tech was 1996, and that is when Miscavige changed how auditor training is done. And not only did he change the training, but he also basically, in effect, canceled everybody's certificates because everybody was required to come in and do the new training, and you couldn't audit until you had.
Which would start the pattern that we've seen several times now of cancelling everybody's certificates and forcing them to start over and over again.
Correct.
Because there's no new recruits.
That's right. And that started all back in 1996. And that was really, in many ways, that was not the beginning of the end. But as far as because it actually started back with the mission holders. That was the mission holder fiasco of the early 1980s. As far as I'm concerned, in my look at Scientology and understanding of its history, that was the beginning of the end for Scientology. It's been declining ever since. But this 1996... I'm sorry?
The mission holders was definitely a watershed in Scientology becoming essentially a complete cult of personality around Miscavige. And some of the reports that have come out about the mission holders purge and what happened there remind me of how Christopher Hitchens characterized Saddam Hussein's regime, where if somebody you knew was executed, you would be there and you'd be forced to applaud, which is what the people who were there said happened. They were forced to applaud as these people were purged, and you'd even be made to pay for the bullets that were made to kill your relative, just to show who was in charge. It reminded me of that same kind of dictatorial mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Miscavige was absolutely, feeling his power in the 80s like, never before, especially after Hubbard died in 86. So it was there were a series of things that happened and he maneuvered his way successfully through those events and came out on top. And it was far from a certainty that he would, but he managed to pull it off, and he did what he needed to do as dictators do. I am going to have to let you go, David, because I got other callers in the queue to the point it's backing up now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I love open mic night. So fascinating topic, and thank you for calling in on this, but I have to let you go.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks, man. Good talking. Bye-bye. Alrighty, and we are going to end. Kevin, I saw your comment there in the comments, and that's because the queue is full, and as I go through it, keep trying, and we'll get you on. So let's pick up this next one. Darla, hello.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Doing well, of course. I think you're getting to know me now.
Well, what you got for me tonight?
I'm sorry. Okay, first of all, I just want to say sorry about Melissa.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if it has anything to do with, some of the depression that she goes through, but I can honestly say that I can empathize with that. And the reason why I'm calling you, Chris, tonight is it's really doesn't have much to do with Scientology, and do for me with a cognitive dissonance that I had for so many years from being raised by a mother that was really went undiagnosed with a mental type illness.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it affected me. I mean, I've done a lot of things. I don't want to get into everything.
Sure.
However, I want your kind of, you last podcast that you had gone to visit your mother and that you all had a little bit of a confrontation, and not that you have to, explain all of that, but like, one thing I want to say, and this is going to sound really, really bad, but my mom passed away in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
My first reaction to that was relief.
I understand.
I completely,
I understand.
Okay.
I get that.
And thank you.
Yeah.
And since then, I have been like trying to forgive her for shit that she did. And honestly, Chris, like, I can't get there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I need to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of wondering, from your perspective, if you could kind of just guide me a little bit on that.
Sure, absolutely. I'll give you a little bit of opinion or whatever. You know what I have to say about that. I mean, based on what you've told me so far, I get that you had a contentious, difficult, I'm maybe abusive relationship with your mom.
Abusive.
Yeah.
Physically and verbally and mentally.
Yeah, totally get that. And now she's passed on, so the idea of reconciliation or, getting an apology or anything like that is kind of past now. Is that right?
That would be correct.
Yeah. Okay. So this is basically you with yourself. Are there any other relatives or people connected with this situation who are, giving you advice or direction or pressure or anything like that?
No, I have a brother who is kind of believes in God, and I am an agnostic, and because I just am. I don't believe in. Well, I've just listened to too much stuff.
Yeah, I hear you.
Kind of along the lines of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, he's the only one that kind of gives me any type of a feedback.
Got it.
That would be okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I get that. The reason I ask is because I wanted to see if anybody was giving you any pressure to forgive her or to let it go or anything like that. You see what I mean? I just wanted to know if there was any external, pressure on you on that. So it doesn't sound like there is any.
No, it's really on myself.
Yeah, I get that. Cool. And what are your thoughts on the subject of forgiveness? How do you think about it in relation to this situation and maybe in general, if you want to tell me?
Okay. Yeah. So, my mother never had the ability to be introspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so, she never then could see the damage that she had caused.
Mm-hmm.
So when she died, there was never any type of a resolution. There was never, I'm sorry for how I fucked up your life, or how I stole your daughter away from you, or I'm sorry for beating you as a child. There was no acknowledgement on her part.
Right.
So at this time, I really don't want to I have no ability to forgive her.
Mm-hmm.
Is that wrong?
No, it's not.
Is that wrong?
No, it's not wrong. No.
Okay.
Your
Help me
feel
understand a little.
your feelings are your feelings, and you feel them because of all the reasons you've got to feel them, right? So there isn't anything wrong in terms of a good, bad, right, wrong sort of thing with your feelings. They are what they are. What we try to do, right, with therapy or education or just the talks we have with other people is we try to work out, reconcile, how do we think about these feelings we have? And we can't help but have them. And so if you're feeling a particular way, there are reasons for that. And we, in therapy or whatever, and I'm not a therapist and I'm not trying to do that here, but I'm just saying that in general, that's how you try to approach these things is, okay, well, what are the feelings? What are the reasons for those feelings? Where do they come from? What are the experiences they're based on? That kind of thing. And then a person is able to kind of look at the full kind of rainbow of their feelings about a thing, because I'm sure, well, you tell me in regards to your mom. I mean, I imagine you have a lot of mixed up and down feelings in regards her. I don't know. You tell me. Does that sound true?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have empathy towards what she went through, like, and like going all those years without a diagnosis or, all of that. So I have empathy for her. And, however, I just can't find a forgiveness for her. And I don't even know at this point, Chris, whether or not I want to forgive her.
Exactly.
I mean, I know that we all say forgiveness is for ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, maybe I can forgive, but I can't forget.
Right. And that's fine. And that's it. And with the empathy that you've noted and talked about here, I think you are on that road to forgiveness. But that does not in any way, shape, or form mean that you need to forget anything, or that you don't learn the lessons you learned and apply them to your life from this point forward, right? Or as you've been learning them. So it is for you at this point, and it's a letting go. It's a reduction in the anger, I guess you could say. At least that's been my experience of it. But it's taken me a long time, and there are still, to this day, a couple people in the world of Scientology that I have not forgiven. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people in Scientology, Chris, that you have not forgiven.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a couple. It's just a couple. But it's there, you know. It's going to require a conversation between us before I can go there.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I can't have that conversation with my mom anymore.
Right.
But because she's deceased.
Right.
And, I think I am going to be okay with just, how I feel. And, I'm just going to keep on working on this.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's
and
right.
If there's a point that I come to be able to find forgiveness for her, then that's going to be good for me. I mean, it doesn't affect my everyday life or anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I was just really curious, about your perspective on it. And again, Chris, you're a great critical thinker. You're an awesome dude.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your work. And I actually appreciate the time that you've taken with me this evening. to speak with me
Absolutely.
and address my issues.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for calling in. And I am absolutely happy to talk with you, Darwin, tonight or any other time. And I definitely understand the difficulties that you are encountering right now. And the last thing I want to leave you with is just give it time. There's no hurry here.
Okay.
There's no hurry.
Yeah.
This is for you, right? So you just let it roll out at your comfort level.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to extend love and peace to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciated. All right. I will talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye, Chris.
Excellent. All right. I see you people in the queue here, and we are going to keep picking this up. Thank you for your patience on all of this, you guys. Open mic. It is what it is. We're just going to take them as they come. And here we are picking up Ken's call. Hello, Ken. Are you there?
Oh, yes, I am. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for your patience and holding on there. What you got tonight?
Well, first of all, I was going to talk about something else, but with the last call between you and Darla, I got to say, you both excellent, right on the money. And I actually had something that can tie into it if you're interested.
Go right ahead. I'm interested in what you have to say.
Okay. Well, I'm sure I know you are familiar with the International Cultic Studies Association.
Very much so, yes.
There's a book, actually, I've been reading, which means a lot to me, that they've published. It's called Wounded Faith. Mm-hmm. It's an anthology book, basically written by various ministers, theologians, what have you. Basically, it deals with spiritual abuse. And although it's written mostly for people who want to maybe find a healthy spiritual group, I find one chapter in it on forgiveness to especially pretty much make about the same points that you were making, because as a minister, as I try to explain to people, and this is something I try to explain because people sometimes unintentionally get things wrong, is when I refer to forgiveness, I'm not saying you go out there and grant absolution, or even you have to forgive everybody. What I'm saying is kind of what you were saying is you try to get to a point where the hostility diminishes or it's not controlling you.
That's right. That's it. Right.
That's what I try to get to. And
yep.
I'll let you in on something. I've just to throw this out here, is I actually, there one group of people, Nazis, I absolutely hated all of them.
Yeah.
Because they harmed close family friends of mine who have since died. And I was vicious, I was hateful, and eventually I found out some of these guys that hurt my family friends, they had died. My first reaction was, crap, now I can't yell at them. Now I can't hit them. But then I thought, hey, wait a minute. So what if I could? What difference would that make? So eventually I got to a point where I let go of a lot of that. But what's weird is I have family members of mine who've wronged me who I can't forgive. So here's the problem. Genocidal mass murderers, I've been able to forgive. Members of my own family, well, that's just another story. I'm sorry, that's a bridge too far. I just can't do it,
Yep.
I mean,
I hear you.
I understand what Darla is going through, and you guys handled it great, and I think she's going to be just fine. I mean, I don't know her or you, but let's just say you could call it, let's just call it my Spidey sense, since I assume you are a Marvel Comics.
Of course.
Well, refer to it as my Spidey sense tells me that stuff will be all right in this. And also, you both just knocked it out of the park, and I've been amazed in my own life with what progress I've made at, let's just say, smoothing down my rough edges. Ken is a complicated cat, but that doesn't mean he can't improve and can't do better. And certainly listening to you's helped, doing other things has helped.
Awesome.
But one thing I just wanted to throw out there, I remember you were mentioning something about how and I think it was David was the previous caller or so, pointed out is even if the free zone does get a little bump from what's going on with Scientology, I don't think it's going to be a lasting one.
Oh no. Oh no. Absolutely. The independent Scientology zone is a pass-through zone for most people. Very few people stay parked there for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I would. I mean,
Yeah.
I've dealt with some online who are nice. There are one or two I've dealt with who, well, I'm not going to talk about them because they weren't exactly friendly. But
Yeah.
I love what John P. has to say, his commentary on the underground bunker. He has a lot of great insights into it. And because it seems like some of the, and this is one last thing I wanted to ask you about before I let you go, is it seems like what people do stay there long term tend to be older. They tend to have maybe their experiences in the cult weren't as extreme as the younger crowds or whatever. Maybe they're just trying to hold on to the old time nostalgia they had. Whereas it seems like the younger ones who leave, they just want to get the hell out of there. They don't really have quite as many happy memories to look back on. I'm not saying they have none, but it seems like on a percentage basis, the younger ones just don't have very much that they want to hold on to.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
That, and also, I was just checking Ronzorg, which Captain Bill started, and let's see, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you better now.
Yeah, what I was going to say is with the Ronzorg, which Captain Bill started, I know down there they say they have like 15 or 20 delivery centers or something. And I'm just going to flat out say this. I'm having trouble believing this because, you know, as far as I can tell, the only evidence I can gather, granted, I can't do a census, but if there are more than 1,000 or 2,000 independent Scientologists in the world, I would be shocked.
Me too. Me too.
I can't find any evidence of there being much more than that.
Nope.
And what's interesting on the site, even though they do say Captain Bill, they mention a few things of his. Interestingly, they don't mention most of his crazy ideas. I wonder.
I wonder why.
By them or... Yeah, John Atack did a good video on him. I still can't figure out how John and him got along because Captain Bill, just one last thing I want to ask you.
Yeah.
From what I read about him, he wasn't, I'm not saying he was as bad as Hubbard, but from what I read about him, he could be pretty nasty.
Sure. Yeah. I believe that's true. I don't think he was quite the, dominate others, at all costs kind of personality that Hubbard had. But Captain Bill was definitely in tune with a different level of reality.
Oh, yeah. I remember in a video where he actually praised David Mayo. But what's weird is I'm thinking I've watched a little bit of what David said, and I can't imagine him getting along well with Bill because David, and this is just my opinion, David seemed to believe more in the tech at the time than he did Hubbard, although fortunately he got out of all that. But David never struck me, David Mayo, I never met the man, but he didn't strike me as the kind of guy who would have really wanted to be around Bill much.
I think you're right. Now I don't know either of them, never met either of them. However, I think you're right. That's the impression I get as well. Yeah.
All right. Well, I just wanted to say thanks for taking my call, and I really has been awesome. I hope everything's going great for you guys.
Thanks, Ken.
Be excellent to each other, and shalom, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks for calling, man. Talk to you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Be good. Bye-bye.
All right. And again, thank you guys for your patience here as we're rolling through these. I'm just popping on off here. Let's pick this one up. I believe this is Hannah. Hello. Henny?
Yeah.
Henny?
Yeah, it's Henny.
Yeah, there you go. I figured it out right at the last second there. Hey, Henny, thanks for waiting.
Listen, my pleasure and my honor. Okay, really, to wait. I don't mind at all. I learned so much from every caller and from you as well. How are you, darling?
I'm good. I'm actually doing really good. Thank you for asking.
Good.
How are you?
I'm glad. I'm okay. I'm hanging in there.
All right.
And I hope that Melissa is good. And I wanted to say a few things. First of all, I really hope that Melissa feels better And I really would like her to reiterate what she had a few weeks ago, but she was interrupted. And I don't think it was intentional, but she was interrupted. And she really was making some so valid, important points regarding Roe versus Wade, regarding, human rights. And I really, really would love to hear her continue her perspective on that, because it was so important. And
I agree.
She's so educated and she knows so much. So please tell her when she feels better that I really hope she would do that, because it's essential that everyone hear it. And I think that's very important.
Good. I will tell her.
Other than that, I thank you. I really do. I really do. And hugs to her, really.
No problem.
I went on my, there was a podcast, not a podcast, the AM station I told you with the lawyer that I listened to. Okay. And I went on and they were speaking. I hope that I didn't tell you this story. Please let me know. I have a propensity to repeat myself, and I hope I'm not doing that. But anyway, he was talking about AK-47s and how everything, it was in the public, and how the NRA had the actual politicians were being paid off, and this is just, also something that was really disturbing to me. And I called up to let him know that I had assumed wrongly, because I was lied to. I thought I wasn't going to be lied to by the politicians, that after Sandy Hook, that these weapons were going to be taken out of the public domain. So I believed it, and that's what I thought. But I thought wrong.
Yeah.
And I said, this is a bunch of horseshit, and it really needs to be, nobody knew. The guy who took my name in the beginning, it took me a half hour to tell him what my name was. I don't have to tell you. But when I said the word shit, he interrupted and said, Henny. I was like, oh my goodness, somebody knows my name. You can't use profanity. I had used the word shit, on the radio.
Got it. Yep.
So it was okay. It was all right, because I know the lawyer, and it was like, he said, don't worry about it. It's fine. He said, well, what do you propose we do to stop it? So I said, well, I have an idea. I said, how about this? Every manufacturer that sells one of those weapons that's used in the commission of a massacre has to pay every parent 10 times what they would pay one politician. He said, actually, the parents of Sandy Hook were actually doing that, and they had put one of them or two of them out of business because they sued the manufacturers. So I said, well, apparently that seems to be the only way, which would be money-wise. And if we could take their money, then that would close up. And I think that stands true for quite a lot of different places and different organizations and different religions and everything that are in power.
Yep.
If we take away their money, then we take away their power.
That's true. And that is always the trick, is getting to that. And because it seems that there's an endless demand for weapons in this country,
Yes, I know.
So
I know.
They always got those.
Like you said, you were willing to do the fight, and you were willing to,
That's right. That's
see what
right.
you could do. And I'm with you.
Yep.
I'm with you.
Gotta do the fight, man.
I'm
That's right.
100%.
Right.
And I, whether it's a petitions, whether it's suing, I mean, really, I think all the parents should sue. And there is no price. There is no price.
No,
so,
it's just going to take,
for that.
And it's going to be death by 1,000 cuts, exactly as you're saying. I think that's how this is going to work, and I think it's going to work in a similar cultural way. If I have any prediction at all on this, it is that it'll work in a similar way to how cigarettes have gradually been going out of existence in a way. especially compared, Henny, I'm sure, when you were a kid, when I was a kid, I mean, it was different,
Yes.
And it takes years to get that cultural change. But I think that we can move in that direction slowly, gradually, but I think it can happen. And it happens by all of us fighting the good fight. So please continue,
Well, you had also mentioned, the several different parties, which I thought was brilliant.
Yes, we definitely need that.
Okay,
yes.
And I mean, there are so many things that need to be implemented and changed so that even if we're not here, that the generations that live on get to progress and have a good community.
Yeah.
And don't have these things. There's no reason for these weapons to be in the public domain.
I would like to agree with you. I mostly agree with you. I know there are some good reasons, but not the nasty machine guns and all that. I agree with you that those things don't need to be in the public domain.
Those weapons are not, listen to me.
Yeah.
This is why the police were afraid to go in.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the last okay? Because they know how many of them is it gonna take to get this guy with a machine gun that shoots off God knows how many.
Yep.
bullets. You understand?
Absolutely.
Okay, so,
absolutely. Yeah, we're on the same page on that. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that. There's no reason for those weapons to be in the public hands. I'm
Makes
sorry,
sense.
absolutely none.
Fair enough.
And I wanted to say one more thing, and I'm going to let you go.
Yeah.
I saw a commercial the other day that made me pull my hair out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was Trump with his 3 children. It's called Unprecedented.
Oh boy.
And they're talking about the honesty and loyalty of their father. Now, maybe they forget they have other siblings. There's 5 of them. But what the hell do I know, right?
Wow.
Right, Chris?
Right.
And maybe, and maybe they don't realize that their father ran under the Democratic Party with Jesse Ventura and Woody Harrelson many years ago. But what do I know, right, Chris?
Right. What do we know?
Right. What do we know? We better open our eyes and fucking remember, okay? All right? That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Henny.
Okay.
All right.
I adore you. I'm going back to the show. Have a great night.
You
Always
too.
love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, cool. And just very quickly, Xenu, yes, I did quit smoking. When I was in the Sea Org, I quit a little bit. But I never let myself get addicted to it. I purposefully went in knowing how addictive it was, having watched my parents having to quit and how hard it was for them. And I went, I ain't doing that. And so I only smoked very, very minimally. So I wasn't really a smoker the same way so many other people were. All right, so we have these calls keep coming in, so I'm just going to keep picking them up. Hello, you are on. Yep, hello. I can hear you. I just don't have your name. Are you there? Something about Burning Man? Okay, gonna drop this call. Give me a call back. All right, pick up the next one here. I believe this is Kevin. Hello, Kevin, you are on.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. And I'm going to try to cycle through these faster now, guys. I know we're going toward the end of the show here. So, it's open mic night. Who knows what's going to happen? Kevin, go ahead and give me what you got.
Yep, I'll get right to it. I just finished watching a video called Science Friction. Are you familiar with that?
No, but I like the play on words. Okay. What is it?
Well, it's from a guy by the name of Brian Dunning. I don't know if you're familiar with him at all, but it's a documentary on how the media portrays science and science communicators in the wrong way.
Interesting.
Very quickly, I was just wondering what your opinion is on what we can do to make these documentary creators take science communication more seriously.
demand that they take it more seriously really is the only way to make that happen. The documentaries that are produced for the general raw public, right? The mass media consumption. And people seem to crave odd, weird, nonsensical things. That's what they tend to gravitate towards. So it needs to be positioned in such a way that it's communicated in a simple, easy to understand, anybody can get this kind of way, and still yet be completely factually accurate with the science, right? And I think where we lose is, I think science communicators, and this is just my shooting from the hip here, guys. I'm zero study on this, but I believe from what I see and hear that we have science communicators. These are jobs. People hold these jobs. There are lots and lots of them. But I think they don't, in general, appreciate how dumbed down you have to make the messaging in order to get it across to people, in general.
Absolutely. I mean, we have people like Richard Dawkins, but his style isn't for everybody, in my opinion.
That's right. He's way high
and Michael
above.
Shermer.
Yeah, Shermer as well. These are good communicators, and at a certain level, they do great. But you have to have a high school level or better, literacy level to really get what they're saying. And we have to face the fact that a lot of the people who get in the way of science and science advocacy and science progress are people who aren't there. Yeah. That's, I think.
Absolutely. What really hit me was when I was watching that, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. It was when Richard Dawkins was being interviewed by, I forget the guy's name, but it was obviously a show on creationism, and he had put forth a hypothetical wherein even if we were if the human population was started by a species or something that is not from this world, that something would have had to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they, through the magic of editing, they made him sound like he believed that little green men populated the earth, and that's why we're here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating.
So, fascinating in a bad way.
Yeah, a little starseed conspiracy theory directional sort of thing there, I guess.
Yeah, and he was like, that's definitely not what I said.
Right. Exactly. So that's the kind of thing we got to...
That's all I've got for you.
All right, cool, Kevin. Well, thanks for calling in on that. I appreciate your patience in holding on for that.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Let's just hope we can change things for the better before too long here.
Big time. I completely agree. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you.
All right, and let's pick up, I believe this is Christina. Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hi.
How you doing?
How are you?
That's your friendly Estonian in Florida calling.
Okay. Well, hello, my friendly Estonian in Florida. How can I help you this evening?
Well, I need your advice. I want to know what kind of book would you recommend about Scientology. I mean, like, I got your book, I got Leah's book, I got Mark's book, and I listen to them in audio format. So now I'm curious. Oh, I can't wait for Mike's book to come out. That's going to be a bomb.
Yes, I am very much looking forward to Mike's book. And I will say the other book that I would add to the list that you said there, it would be John Atack's book, A Piece of Blue Sky.
Mm-hmm.
That is essential reading. If
experience,
what's that?
Is it about his experience in the church?
It does talk a little bit about that, but mostly it's a breakdown of the church and Hubbard. There's a lot of material in there about Hubbard. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the nature of what it's all about is kind of what it's covering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, your book covered quite a lot.
It did. Yeah, my book's pretty good too.
Yes, of course. Sure. Yeah. But I'm also more curious about personal.
Oh, got it. Well, of course, you always have Amy Scobie's book, right? Well, what's that called? Abuse at the Top or something like that. So that's a good one to read. You've also got Karen's book, Karen Schless, right? Her book, because she was married to Peter Schless and was at Gold for years. So those are two other books I would check out that are memoir style.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look into it.
Okay,
sure.
good. Oh, and he'd kill me if I didn't mention this. Jeff Hawkins, also his books. Also very, very good.
Jack Hawkins?
Jeffrey Hawkins, yeah.
Jeff, okay.
Yeah, look him up. They're on Amazon. I don't think he did audiobooks, but he self-published on Amazon, so you can find his books there.
Jeff Hawkins. Okay, we'll look into it. Thank
All
you.
right. All right, talk to you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy. Bye.
All right, and we have two more calls, and I'm going to be calling it quits after that. So first one, about the hole. Somebody wants to ask me about the hole. Hello.
Hi, this is Gail. How are you, Chris?
Hey, Gail, coming in loud and clear. What's up this evening?
Oh, what's up? I want to know if actually, I just have a Scientology question.
Yeah, what you got?
I want to know if the hole still exists. The hole?
Yeah, we do not believe that it still exists the way that it was reported on. But because Miscavige is no longer hasn't been at the gold base as far as we know for years. We believe that those people are probably still on some kind of work detail or not being taken care of and that kind of thing. So they're still not, they're still being abused, but not to the level or degree that they were previously. But it's a little,
you think there's still,
little up in the air.
Do you think they're locked in?
What's that?
Do you think they're still locked up?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think I think they're still trapped on that base in San Jacinto, but I don't think they're locked up in the same trailers that they were before. I think that's changed.
Is that one of the places that has all the barbed wire and
that place.
Cameras? I mean, I just can't imagine why someone wouldn't want to leave somewhere so cruel and so vicious.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any. And since you're really indoctrinated and brainwashed to that extent, I mean, you're saving the world by getting rid of. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I was never in Scientology, so.
No. And I think the way to think about this, and this is quite sad, really. It's very tragic. I wish it wasn't this way, but really the way to understand these folks who are stuck there is that they have been broken. And they don't really have the willpower and the initiative and the fight in them anymore to resist. And I think that's kind of the problem and the situation there. And that is a terrible, terrible situation. But I believe that's what's going on.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chris. That makes sense. It's like after you've been in combat so often, and so much, and you've seen so much horror, like sometimes policemen give up because they've seen so much that is so bad. It's just unbelievable to me. And, when you think of, like, there are all kinds of cults and you think of gurus, but their concept of reincarnation doesn't make any sense at all. If you think about the theory of reincarnation, it implies that what you do right now is important. Because if you're going to come back, but they don't seem to care what they do in this life.
Yeah,
That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
it doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, no compassion, no empathy. I mean, you're training people to be narcissists.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
Well, I know you have to go, and I just want to congratulate you on your what you wrote about fascism and the comparison. That was really good. That was right on.
Thank you.
So thank you for that. And thank you for the good work you're doing. I hope Melissa's okay, and have a good night. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, Gail. All right. Yeah. And you guys are awesome, by the way. Mel is going to be great. She's fine. She's seeing a friend tonight, so it's all good. And thank you very much, everybody, for your well wishes on that. I know she's going to be very happy to hear all the overwhelming support from you guys. I'm going to tell her all about it. Let's pick up this last call. I believe that this is Wayne. Hello, you are on.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely, Wayne. Thanks for calling in. How can I be of assistance this evening?
Well, I come in late to your show. I heard you speak about guns.
Yes.
And, all the havoc being caused now. What's your thoughts on why we didn't need restrictions back in the 80s when it was pretty common for boys my age to take rifles, high-powered rifles to school in deer season, and nobody said anything, or it wasn't a big deal,
right,
to take a high-powered rifle to school. And all of a sudden, now we got to restrict everything. That's one topic I wanted. And another topic was early days of Scientology in Washington, D.C. A friend of mine was one of the founding members. Well, he passed away about 20 years ago. Do you remember any folk tales about Ron and flash cameras, flash photography, where he froze people supposedly with a flash photography? Have you heard any rumors like that in the Sea Org?
No, I never heard of Hubbard using a camera to freeze people. That's a new piece of information.
All right. Yeah, I ain't going to go into it then. If you never heard of it.
No, never heard of anything. Never heard of anything like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
In terms of rifles to schools, what I got to be quick, but what I'm going to say is that times have changed. And also.
Why have they changed?
Oh, well, for a few reasons. I mean, one, the internet has changed things. People are more, especially kids these days, statistically speaking, have a higher chance of being depressive, suicidal, anxious because of the... what's that?
Because of the internet?
Yeah, because of social media, the influence of social media and the algorithms. They're being fed this constant stream of bad news, bad information, right? And they respond to that. In that phase of your life, the anxiety goes way up. We might all remember, what life was like for us as teenagers, and generally speaking, it wasn't a wonderful time. And you become much, much, much more sensitive to the opinions of others and how they think about you and your reputation and social status. And all of that gets really heightened during the teenage years. And some people don't take to that so well. And when social media comes in and you get these echo chamber effects of people ganging on people and the bullying and stuff like that, it can be quite overwhelming for some kids, and they don't respond well to that. And we're seeing increases in anxiety, depression, and suicide as a result of that, especially with younger women, more so than young boys. So that's a factor in terms of general angst amongst the teenage population that's even higher than it was for us before the internet. And the other thing is the proliferation of guns is more than it ever has been before. More people own guns now than ever. And so the statistical chances of an unstable person getting their hands on a gun and doing something bad with it is simply higher because of the increased population and increased guns. So those two things going together are two big reasons why we have a lot more attention on and more episodes of gun violence, and why people are very upset about it. Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah, that's a good point. You have some good points. Thanks for taking my call. Have
Absolutely.
a great night.
Thanks, Wayne. Thanks for calling in. Bye-bye. All right. Cool. And just because we've gone a little bit over here this evening, yes, just kind of trying to keep up on the comments as I was going here, guys. I don't know how many LRH houses there are. There's a few. Theirs are just as dead properties as everything else in Scientology these days. I mean, you have New Jersey, you have Arizona, you have South Africa. I know of at least those three. Then, of course, there's St. Hill as a historic property. Anyway, yeah, few of them out there. All right, guys. So I think we are going to start wrapping up. Yes, the quote. Sorry about that. And this is Carl Sagan, of course. God, I love this quote. Actually, there's two I want to share with you. First one is, every one of us is, in the cosmic perspective, precious. If a human disagrees with you, let him live. In 100 billion galaxies, you will not find another. So that's a Carl Sagan quote that I kind of like in terms of value of life. And the other one is, where is it? I put it up earlier. Here it is. The nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our apple pies were made in the interiors of collapsing stars. We are made of star stuff. I love that quote. I really do. It just kind of gives me the feels. All right. And of course, we will do our critical thinking cards to wrap up the show. I will pick at random, and here it is. Okay, the fallacy. Presuming that because a claim has been poorly argued or a fallacy has been made, that it is necessarily wrong. And this is an important point. Just because somebody has uttered a logical fallacy or used it in their argument does not automatically mean that they are not speaking the truth. They just might be doing so in a fallacious way. And we need to correct that because they should be using sound logic, not fallacious logic. Recognizing that Amanda had committed a fallacy in arguing that we should eat healthy food because a nutritionist said it was popular. Elise said we should therefore eat bacon double cheeseburgers every day. So one doesn't necessarily follow the other. But again, fallacy. So something to be aware of as you are out there spotting logical fallacies and getting your practice in at social media debates. Okay, guys. So that all being said, okay, let's see here. Yep. Everybody have a great weekend. Watch for the podcast tomorrow. It will be Alexandra Stain has come back on my podcast after years of absence. She's come back as a guest, and we talk about attachment theory and cults and relationships and all kinds of fun stuff with that. That'll be tomorrow, and then we will have a usual pre-recorded Q&A on Sunday. All right, guys. And yes, of course, I will definitely be passing on to Mel. So... see you later. Bye-bye.